After owning this van for 7 months and living in it full time for 4, we have a pretty good grasp on what we like and dislike about this van. So we want to show you that. Our last van tour was just a basic tour that kind of just showed you the ins and out of this van. But now we really know the pros and cons of having this van, and we want to show you all the tips and tricks for making this van a little bit better and what we like and dislike. So let's get into it.
But first, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. We have so many videos coming, and since we are full-time YouTubers, it helps us out so much.
Just wanted to preface this with, we love our van. This is just a pros and cons list that we've made because we've lived in the van, and not everything is perfect, but we want to educate anyone that was looking into this van, what we like and what we dislike, and hopefully it can help you make a better decision. We're gonna start with the exterior, and for a quick rundown, this is a 2020 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 4x4 on the 144 wheelbase, and it has a 2021 Winnebago Revel build out. One of the first things we did to this van's exterior is remove all the decals. We kept a little 4x4 on there because we liked that, but we got rid of all the Winnebago decals, and I think it has just a nice, cleaner look. Pretty easy with a little Gooby Gone and some hot sun. As you can see, we still have the stock Mercedes-Benz shocks in here, and these are the stock wheels and tires that came with the Revel, but they're not stock to the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. This is the BF Goodrich off-road tire, KO2, and the black method wheels. So far, we've taken this van off-road a decent amount. Nothing too crazy, but we've pushed it for sure, and we haven't felt the need to upgrade these tires or these shocks yet. I know the shocks are said to be the biggest upgrade that you possibly could do, and if anyone out there has a Revel or another van that has the Van Compass or Agile off-road kit, suspension kit, we would love to test it out and see what we're missing. But for right now, the money to the value of what we have been doing, it just doesn't really add up for us. So we don't think we're gonna do that right now, maybe in the future. And getting big tires, I haven't had any issues with these. The road noise with these tires has been very minimal, but we haven't had any other vehicles that have used these tires, so we really don't have anything to compare it to. But so far, we haven't had any jitters, anything, and we're at 11,000 miles. They've been holding up really well. So this is the box right here that we put on the roof. And as you can see here, there's just 2 L brackets on this side, and then there's other L brackets on the other side. These are actually getting a little rusty, so I need to replace these. These are T-bolts that connect to the roof rack, and they're supposed to be stainless steel. Obviously they're not. These ones are holding up pretty well. When I put this box on, I did Rust-Oleum on the top, actually 2 coats of a clear coat and then a black coat on top because it was a black box to begin with. And pretty easy. It has a lock on this side, so you can unlock it with your key. I keep like my go treads in here, tools, shovel, and then some other small things. But works out really well, keeping all the things that we really don't use as much in here, which is really nice. And of course, the side ladder helps get me there. And this is the stock side ladder. We haven't had any issues with the ladder so far. It's been great. I know other people upgrade to get different types of ladders, but it's been working for our needs so far, and I can get all the way in there and have no problem. So we said we'd talk about some things we dislike, and this awning scares the crap out of me sometimes. When it's super windy, or when it's windy a little bit at all, it has a sensor on it, but then I feel like sometimes it just is about to fold itself under and crumple and fly off. And so the only times that we feel comfortable putting it out is times like this, when there's 0, and I mean 0 wind. This feature makes me not even want to put it out, and that's a bummer. So a couple small intricacies about this thing. It doesn't have any legs, so it just kind of like comes out and it's on this thing. And this is the wind sensor that I was talking about earlier, is right here. And then the button for it is inside here. So that's nice that it is electric and it comes in and out. But like I said, the sturdiness of it having no legs or no supports coming from here is really, I think, the main issue. The one nice thing I will say about this is if you just extend it a little bit and it's raining, it will keep the rain from coming inside the van if you still want the open feel and the open door. Overall, I still feel like this is a con of the van, one of our main dislikes. 3 smaller details that we like and somewhat dislike about this van. First one, the table. We absolutely love this. Super handy, super easy. On this, all you have to do is fold it back up, easy storage. Second is this roll down net. This netting is actually really, really nice. It allows the breeze to come in, super nice. It's from Roleff Canada. It has a magnet on the side, so open it up, close it back down, easy as that. You can also unzip it from here. If you don't want the netting, you can roll all the way to the top and it won't be there in your way. So the third thing, and maybe I'm just being a little bit picky and punching Winnebago here a little bit, but their side steps are very large and cumbersome. I don't need a step right here. There's nothing for me to get into. So they kind of are bumped out a little bit from the van as well. So it just, when I'm going around a curb or anything like that, I'm always afraid that I'm gonna hit this on it, even though I feel like I have the clearance to make it. In the end, they probably could have went smaller, or it's just me being picky. Either way, not that big of a deal, but I thought it was worth mentioning. So we're back to the garage. There's a few things that we've changed up and a small little thing, so I wanted to point those out. We ended up taking away one of the mats because now we only have one mat. We had two before because the heavy duty Velcro just wouldn't stick, and when it got hot, it kept on falling down. So now with just one mat, perfect. Also, with our water system. Okay, let's get into the water system here. Winnebago gives you a 4-foot hose. What can you do with a 4-foot hose? So me thinking, I was like, all right, I'll get the 10-foot hose. After a couple of weeks, it's pretty apparent that even 10-foot wouldn't get you anywhere. So I upgraded to the 25-foot freshwater hose, and this has been great. It's got us pretty much in every situation we're able to get water, even if the spigot is kind of far away. That leads us into the actual water station, and I want to talk about this a little bit. So this is our water system, and one of the things that we did end up getting is this Camco water filter for the exterior. So we did have an onboard water filter, and I really just don't recommend it because if you're going off-road and you're taking this van all over the place, they're just not built for a vehicle like this. They started developing a leak after only a month, and we just decided to take that out and go with this. Another thing that we have with this outside water system here is we're starting to take more outdoor showers, which we've totally loved. Even though we have an indoor shower, it's really nice just kind of being in the nature, not having to clean up as much, and having a little bit more space. The one thing that we haven't got yet is a curtain for the outside. We've seen some ones with some magnets and stuff. We might make our own, but that's probably the next thing we're gonna buy on our list, is a curtain so that we can shower on the outside. So we use this hose a lot. We were contemplating if we even wanted to change this hose head, but it's been really nice so far, even for the showers. It has a little like tiny spray, and then it has a more focused, harder spray for whatever your needs are. And you can get hot water out here. So that's another thing why we want to shower out here more. It's just super nice with the hot water. And if you look at these knobs, you have your city water, you have your power tank fill, dry camping, sanitize, and winterize. We haven't had to use the winterize function just because we haven't been in that cold of temps yet, but we have used the sanitize function because after 4 months, we just wanted to make sure that all of our lines in our tank were clean. We used a little bit of bleach with a ton of water to make this like chlorine substance to clean out all the tanks and ran all the water. And after about 3 more fills, it finally tasted good without any bleach in there. So after sanitizing, we can feel that our water tank is clean and our water lines are free of any bacteria, and our water is good to drink. Just like the side of the vehicle, the back has a bug screen as well, which we use all the time. You can roll it up just a little bit if you want to clip it here and get some things out. It goes all the way to the top, and then it even has a function where it zippers this way, and you can zip this up and roll this up if you want this to be covered and this to be open, if you want just the screen. So many different options with this. Roleff has done a really good job and super handy, something that we really like in this van.
Welcome to the interior of our van. First thing I want to talk about are these carpets. Since we've been in Colorado, it has been so muddy. We've been going on so many hikes, and it's just been really, really dirty. So these carpets have been awesome. We got two 48 by 72 carpets from Lowe's, and then we cut them to fit. And when we want to clean, all I do is shake them out outside, and then I can vacuum in here. And when it's cold outside, the carpet makes it very warm on our toes because otherwise the floor is freezing. Both seats do swivel, but because we have Ferris's workstation behind the driver's seat, we tend to only use one swivel, so this is kind of how it looks every day. So when you're driving the car, you adjust the seat accordingly to how it's comfortable to you. So if you rotated the seat, then you have to adjust it again when you're driving, and plus the legs get really cramped under here if you have two people. This might be good if you're trying to get a foot massage, you know what I'm saying? 99% of the time these curtains are down. They're pretty much just up for this video. We keep them down because it keeps the sun out, and we don't use our sunshades because we get a little bit lazy. But it's also really nice for privacy. Even if we're just going into the grocery store, we don't like people to see inside our van. In previous videos we've made, we've mentioned these Etsy custom size bins, and people have loved them, so we decided to put them in again. But this is where we keep our shirts and pants and shorts, so I get to and Ferris gets to. They're really nice. We just roll all of our clothes up in here and they go in perfectly. So this opening here is wider at the mouth and gets more narrow, so that's why we had to get custom bins. And if you take these out, then we have our window shades in the back. I don't know if you guys can see. We use those once in a while, but like I mentioned, we're a little lazy, so we use the curtains more. But if we leave the van or something for a few days, we'll put those up. So if we put these back, and then on the right side, we're actually able to fit a few pair of tennis shoes. And then on the left side, we have our hats and gloves. So we actually fit a lot up here.
So I know most people use this as a dining table, and we primarily use it as a workstation and secondary as a dining table and what other crap we throw on there. But we have the screen here and the stand. I know many people probably won't also have an elaborate system like this, so you might not even have to worry about it. But this will be able to swivel out and we can swivel it back in. The one thing that is kind of a con that is a little bit scary with this workstation is keeping all of our stuff here. If this is swiveled out, this table is only on a metal pole and it just kind of pops into place. So when we're off-roading, we've noticed a few different times when it kind of popped out of place and it starts falling over. Luckily we've caught it in time so it didn't completely fall over and all of this stuff topples out. But all in all, we do love this workstation. I think this is the big benefit. When it's tucked back in here, it really doesn't take up that much space, and it's been a really big benefit for us for working in the van. So this is where we keep all of our electronics. This is one of our pros. Definitely these felt bins because it's really great for electronics. We just throw everything in there, and it's also right next to the workstation. Really nice because it has a couple different outlets. It has your regular outlet and your USB outlet for anything that we need to charge, always powered up. Let's talk systems. Power system, solar system, water system. Let's start with the power system. We have 2 lithium batteries. They do the job for us. They pretty much keep us out and about for 4 days, even if we didn't do much. And that's if we had a pretty good day with some sun. That leads us to the solar panels. The solar panels, 2 solar panels up top that would, in a decent day, recharge the batteries about 50%. The real charging comes from the alternator of the engine. So that brings us to the water system. We have a 21-gallon freshwater tank, a 20-gallon gray water tank, and a 5-gallon cassette toilet black water tank. The bottleneck here is pretty much the fresh water. It lasts about 4 days. If we shower, maybe 3 days. But overall, I feel like that's a good amount of time, and we find water pretty easily, so no big deal. One of the pros and cons of this van is this max air fan. When it's working, it's great, super breezy, allows airflow, but when it's not working, it becomes a con. And our unit has been malfunctioning since the beginning. It only works when I press the auto and it stays at 1 speed. It's supposed to have 10 fan speeds. When I press the power button, it just beeps like crazy and doesn't work properly. So we did a bunch of research. People said,
so there are 3 Dometic windows throughout the van, and they each have a shade and a screen on them. So there's pros and cons to each, so we'll go over the pros first. The screen allows you to open up the window and get some breeze in, and then the shade you can put up for some privacy. Con side, this system is super noisy, so when we're driving, it's just constantly rattling. We just put up the music, but it is pretty annoying. And then the screen, it's not fully bug proof, so at night we do notice a little bit of bugs coming in. And then the windows itself, they pop out, which just means they're not as stealthy. So if we're in a parking lot and we're popping out our windows, people know we're in there versus if you had a sliding window. And lastly, after 4 months of living in the van, we did notice one time a little bit of water got into the windows after 4 days of pouring rain. So we're just gonna go and get it looked at Winnebago. Now on to the kitchen. One of our favorite modifications to the van was just simply adding some Velcro to the countertop extender. So this originally came under Ferris's workstation seat, which was just kind of out of the way. So this just puts it right at the kitchen and it's super easy to use. So it just goes in like this. and it makes the kitchen countertop nice and long. And honestly, this countertop is really small, so this is so helpful. One of the cons though is when you're cooking, you need to get all of your food out of the fridge before you put this on, especially if Ferris is sitting right here. His legs are usually in this area, so I try and get all my goodies out before I put this on because this can get in the way. Another con is getting out of the van when this is on. It's just a little tight, especially if you're carrying some things. So you can just see it's just kind of a pain in the butt. We do like the location of our refrigerator. The older Revels had the refrigerator inside, so this is really nice because we can access it from outside too to grab like a cold drink or a snack or something. But it is small, but you're gonna get that with any van, so we can fit about 5 to 7 days worth of food here. The only thing I will say is this freezer is an issue. So it kind of grows a layer of ice as it's on to the point where this door doesn't close, and then it freezes this top layer of food. So this is the one thing I absolutely hate about this van. This sink is so tiny that when you wash any pan or any cutting board, it just goes everywhere to the point where like it leaks all the way back behind the countertop, and every day it's just a puddle. Like my dish rags are just soaked all the time. So over time the faucet has gotten loose. Like it's not supposed to be able to do this because I can literally just pour water on our countertop, so not a big deal, but we just got to tighten it up. So all the drawers are a little bit awkward and sometimes things fall behind the sink, but one of the things we really do like is this main drawer. Basically the stovetop came in here and we removed the stovetop, put it in a computer bag and put that in the pantry. So now we can use it for all of our cooking utensils, cutlery, cutting board, and the random little Caesar's packets of hot pepper. Don't judge us. Stovetop is now in the pantry. And we put it on this last row here. Whoops. And so the computer bag just keeps it from breaking, and then you can just easily pull it out. So the pantry only came with 3 shelves. That wasn't a ton of room, but they were really tall, so Ferris went ahead and got some wood from Lowe's and cut us 2 extra shelves, which has been really helpful for just storing more stuff. Up here, we didn't really change much. We still have the felt box with 1 pot, the pans in the back, and then we have 1 mixing bowl. I did remove some cups because we just didn't need that many. Now onto the bathroom. So with the Revel came 3 different shelves. We decided to only use 1 so that we could still use the bathroom and still use it for storage. So we're going to talk about these top bins here. These are the Amazon felt bins, the small size, and we use all of our cosmetics and our cleaning supplies and we put them in here. They've been great. I love them. The only thing that you have to know is that you have to lock the bathroom door when you're driving. Otherwise, these will just topple over and spill everywhere. We've had a ton of broken glass from makeup and it just makes a huge mess. So remember to do that because I forget like once a week.
So the shower has been pretty neat if you need to use it. We don't use it all the time. Like we said, we shower outside sometimes, but when you do need to use it and you're inside, it's been really great. There's just one con that I would say, other than the size. The size can be really tiny, but you're living in a van. The one con from Winnebago's side is that their caulking job is atrocious. And I've had to fix it in a couple different spots. But if that's all you're worried about is your caulk, then you got bigger problems.
Now time for the garage. So in the garage we added 2 more Amazon felt boxes because we felt like we needed some more storage space. So here's a small one, and this is for random snacks that take up a lot of room, like chip bags and pretzels and things like that. The bag is really big and it's just too big for the pantry, so we wind up storing them in this box. The second box is a large box from Amazon, and we needed more room for our clothing, so this holds our socks and underwear and like sports bras and stuff, and we put them in packing cubes because they pack down really tight and they can stay organized. Then we put this rubber mesh on top of the black aluminum box because they were sliding off, but these they've stayed put ever since, and it's great. We added this black aluminum box to the garage. It's the same one that we have on the roof. It's a really great size because it fits the long ways, and it's short enough where it doesn't feel too claustrophobic back here, and sometimes we rest our feet on it. Overall, it's just a really great storage solution.
So we on the garage lounge system with the 80/20 frame and the fabricated cushion with the Lagoon table. This table is actually a little bit too big for the Lagoon system, so it does make it hard to push up and down, but we like the size because we're both able to sit next to each other, work, eat together. Inside here, underneath my bum, is a lot of space, and we have these sliding doors which provide a great easy access to get inside of here. This is probably one of the biggest things and biggest changes and things I would recommend people getting if they don't know for sure where they're gonna put things. I would recommend getting one of these systems. So if you'd like something like this for yourself, there is a company that pretty much pioneered this system, Canyon Adventure Vans. They have a lot of great products, and I totally recommend looking at their website. I knew personally that I was handy and I could make this myself, and it was a little bit of cost savings on our part, so that's the route we went. But if you're just looking for an easy solution and a product that's already pre-made, go to Canyon Adventure Vans, totally recommend them. So underneath my bum, you can take off this cushion and access everything that you need under here, but there's sliding doors for easy access to all the storage. Honestly, having one of these things is so great, and one of the biggest things that we like in our van because it provides the extra storage that we need for all the other crap that we bring in our van. So stock in the Revel, it comes with this bag. We've tended to just put our manuals and other random books in here. And I don't know what else other people use it for, but that's what we've used it for. And then we don't even use this thing at all. So, I don't know, pro, con. Next, we're gonna show you the elevator bed. In order to do that, we gotta put this down and get everything out of the way.
Now time for the bedroom. Pros. We love the elevator bed because it's like two different spaces and it offers up so much room below the bed. Cons? The actual mattress is so small. It's smaller than a full-size bed, so it takes a lot to get used to it. And the actual stock mattress is very, very hard. So you're gonna need a topper or some other kind of solution. We got a 2-inch latex topper, and that wound up not even being enough. So we added a 1-inch eggshell topper on top of that. So now we actually have 2 toppers to make it more comfy.
Since we're here, let's talk about this AC unit. We have lithium batteries and they work really well, but when you use this AC unit, it sucks it down a lot. If we know we're gonna drive or we're gonna be able to recharge our batteries pretty quickly, we will use this, but beware, it will take your batteries down to 0 within a couple hours. So be careful with that. Also, have you seen how much room the AC unit takes up on the roof? Like, are you kidding me? So I'm a 6'1" guy, and in order to fit properly, I have to kind of go on an angle. Luckily, Lisa's not like ridiculously tall, so we can kind of fit, but it has helped since I put my head towards this back window. The pop out is a little bit bigger, so I have a little bit more room, and then my feet kind of go on an angle.
Yeah, I love it.
So if you're a Mercedes Sprinter owner, then you know about the hose clamp issue. So if you get under the hood like this, and you're on the driver's side, this is where you can see the hose clamps. First got the van only after 700 miles. We already saw some slippage on the bottom one. We looked up our VIN number and it still wasn't up for recall. So we decided just to do it ourselves because it was already slipping off and we were afraid of getting the power steering loss. I did call Mercedes after just to make sure that we're not avoiding the warranty, but because it wasn't on recall at the time, we're gonna take it back, they're gonna check over everything and make sure that we did it right. But now we're at 11,000 miles and we've had 0 slippage since I fixed it. Pretty easy fix, only took me maybe like 30 minutes with the right tools, and got all that information on the Winnebago Facebook group. So thank you guys for that. Now let's talk about driving this beast. There's a few things I wanted to talk about, from the seat to the dash, 4-wheel drive. I'll start with the seat. The Mercedes-Benz stock seat is actually pretty comfortable. Haven't had too much of a need to want to upgrade. I know people have upgraded to more comfier seats, but we haven't had a problem. Maybe the only little like con with the seat is this armrest. I like this armrest, but there's nothing on the other side, so it's just kind of weird having one arm rested. You do have the door, but it's a lot farther down. Maybe that's the only comfortability problem that I have. Second would be now the driving of this thing. Driving this vehicle, it's a lot bigger than any vehicle that I've ever driven, and it has off-road tires, so it's something that I wasn't used to. I know people have had some issues with the off-road tires going over 65 miles per hour on this van. They start getting some shake. That might be due to balancing issues, but for our van, we have not had any issues going over 65, but I tend to keep it at 62 because that's the best gas mileage we have noticed after 11,000 miles. We tend to keep it around 17 miles per gallon when we're at 62, which is really, really nice. When we're driving through the city, it can get down to like 14, so our average is around 15 to 16 miles per gallon, which I feel is pretty good considering this is a big vehicle and the diesel helps with that as well. The van does have a lane assist, which I tend to find a huge nuisance, and there's a quick and easy way to take that off every time you drive. But Lisa loves having the lane assist on, and it really helps her when she's driving. So just gonna have to feel that out for yourself and decide what you want to do, but this is how you turn it off. Another thing is with our bike rack, the backup parking is always beeping the entire time we back up because we have that bike rack back there. So that's another function you can use on the dash and take that off, because if you don't take it off, it will automatically brake for you, and it has this terrible crunching brake sound because you're accelerating and it's braking at the same exact time. The other thing would be the four-wheel drive. It seems like there's always this little funky thing that you have to do to get it on. It's not always the clearest path to four-wheel drive. We haven't had any real big issues getting on, but I tend to just try to put it in neutral or put it in park, and the four-wheel drive will eventually come on, and then the low range will come on almost every single time. But to get out of low range, you have to have it in neutral. But in the end, we've always been able to get it on, and we've always been able to get it off. So I mentioned the suspension before, and this may be one of the reasons why everyone wants the suspension, is when you're driving on the highway and a big truck comes or there's a lot of wind, this does sway and it can feel a little uncomfortable if you're not used to it. Maybe people are screaming and probably watching this right now and being like, yes, you should get that upgrade so you don't have to deal with that. But for us right now, we just haven't felt like that we need it for that price. We still are able to keep the van in our lane, but it has been a thing we have noticed. Another thing with four-wheel drive that I do want to talk about is some of the functions to get you to the optimal four-wheel drive. This is something that we've learned before, is if you're in a sticky situation where it's maybe high sand or loose rock, it's great to have, obviously, you put in the four-wheel drive, then you put it into low range, and then the other thing I want to mention is the slip control. This is something that we really, really recommend if you're going to go off-road, is to take the slip control off. You press this button, you turn it off, because we've been in situations where we're going uphill with some loose rock and the engine just wants to give out because the slip control is getting triggered. If you turn the slip control off, the engine power will stay, especially if you're in low range. You'll keep those RPMs up. You'll be able to climb that hill a lot easier, and it's helped us out a lot. Definitely recommend if you're gonna go off-road. One small little thing that you can do in the front dash here is on the very bottom, you can show the diesel exhaust fluid. I like having that as a small little icon in the bottom so I can just keep track of it, because we fill up just a little bit over half. One of the 2.5 gallon jugs will fill it up all the way. So it's just a nice little tip and trick to have that so you don't go below, because it's not good to go below that. Your vehicle will go in this limp mode and only give you 10 more startups, so don't do that. So the front dash system is really, really nice, super functional, easy to use. Another really great perk is that this van has an AT&T hotspot. The highlight of that is it's only $200 a year. The downside is it only really works when the van is on or the auxiliary is on. So after a while, once the auxiliary shuts off, the Wi-Fi doesn't work anymore. But we do have Verizon and T-Mobile, and having AT&T as a third carrier is nice, just so that you're covered anywhere you are, and it works pretty well. Another thing I really like about this van is the Me Connect app. Make sure you get the right app, because Mercedes-Benz has like 4 different apps, and I had the wrong app for the longest time. Make sure it's the one with the Me icon on it. Once you get that app, it's a super simple setup. If you don't have that app, you might be fiddling with it like me for like months, not knowing how to set this up, thinking that you had to go to Mercedes, but you don't. You can do it really easy with the right app. Set it all up with your VIN number. And once you get that app, you can unlock your car with it, turn on the engine, a bunch of different functionalities. So if you keep your keys in the car, if you have your cell phone on you, really nice, because you can open it up without having to worry. So the Me Connect app is a really nice feature once you get it set up. One final thing with the cab up here that we just wanted to discuss, especially after having this van for a while, is the front speaker sounds terrible, and it's the middle speaker especially. We haven't disconnected it. The disconnect is very, very easy to do, and I think that's something that we're going to do in the future, but it has a very tinny sound. So when you turn anything up, you can't really jam out without it sounding pretty awful. So that's something that we're gonna consider, and maybe you wanna consider yourself. So one of the last couple things that we wanna talk about with this whole cab area is the front compartment is kind of a nuisance. Like, if you wanna plug your phone in, it doesn't have like a little area or a groove where the cord can come out and where it still closes. So it just kind of stays up if you want your phone to be there, or you have to like tuck your phone underneath. But like, there's compartments here where you can put your phone easily. So I just doesn't understand it for when charging. Like, that just kind of like blows my mind that they just don't have that groove. Every other car I've been in has a groove for that cord because it just won't shut. The other thing is the cup holders. There's a crap ton of cup holders in here, but only 2 cup holders are bigger. So like the other cup holders are so small that they really only fit like a can of pop. They don't really fit a water bottle or anything like that. So that's an odd thing. Wish they had a little bit of bigger cup holders, but in the end, there's so many of them, and they do have the big ones that we like. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about in the cab is the mats. There are WeatherTech mats, but they're a lot more expensive. We went with the Mercedes-Benz brand, and they were about $90. So pretty cheap, but keep the floors really clean, easy to shake out, really worth it for us. That ends our van tour. We're gonna take a nap. Hopefully this helped you, and since we've been in this van for a while, I hope some of these tips and tricks and the things that we've learned, things that we like, this pros and cons list was worth it for you. Maybe watch it 10 times to make sure that you know everything.
And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you in the next one.